It's looking like our favorite time of the year, so let's rank some roller coasters. Hey everybody, it's Paul from the 125 Roller Coaster Challenge, and by popular demand, it's time to share our top 100 roller coasters for 2024. Now we decided to break this into two videos because, well, it's going to be a pretty long one, and we decided to add their past rankings from 2023 in the corner so you can see which coasters are rising, which ones are falling, and which coasters are brand new to our rankings. Now without further ado, let's kick this off with a few honorable mentions. Now in past videos, these coasters were our 101 to 105 ranked coasters. But this year, these coasters are closed for the 2024 season, and we're crossing our fingers that they're going to be back in 2025. Our honorable mentions are Hellcat at Clementon Park, Skyliner and Leap the Dips at Lakemont Park in Altoona, Pennsylvania, Scorpion at Busch Gardens, Tampa, King Ka and Top Thrill Dragster at Six Flags Great Adventure and Cedar Point, respectively, Green Lantern, which is also at Six Flags Great Adventure, and we finish off with Steel Curtain at Kennywood. Now some of these are defunct. While we hope to see Hellcat, Skyliner, the converted Top Thrill Dragster, now called Top Thrill 2, Steel Curtain, and Leap the Dips make a renaissance in 2025. Now, let's start with our list. Coming in at number 100 is Hydrus at Casino Pier in Seaside Heights, New Jersey. Now this coaster popped back into our top 100 after falling out for a few years. This Gerstlauer vertical lift coaster is one of the best on the Jersey Shore and became a replacement after Superstorm Sandy took out their Jetstar. The oldest operating coaster in the United States comes in at number 99, and that is Wild One at Six Flags America. Now this classic wooden coaster grabbed that title this year after Leap the Dips failed to open in 2024. And for an old wooden coaster, this ride has some pop. Dropping this year, it's still one of the best rides at Six Flags America and one that we try to get on every year. Our 89th coaster is one that keeps coming back and forth every year, and it's Cobra's Curse at Busch Gardens, Tampa. Now it's down 13 spots from last year, but this ride is pretty unique with the elevator lift, the spinning cars with some backward sections, and this ride makes my relief band work overtime every time. Now we head to Canada for our 97th coaster, which is Vortex, a classic suspended coaster that can be found at Canada's Wonderland. Now this ride got even more exciting when they added Yukon Striker to their lineup and keeps holding steady every year. Our next coaster also didn't open in 2024, but is slated to make a comeback in 2025. Dragon Mountain at Marineland in Canada very easily could have been an honorable mention, but the park did open this year with brand new ownership, and this classic era looper is by far the highlight of this park. Now while Hydrus was new to our top 100 this year, our 95th coaster is one that we got to ride for the first time ever in 2024. X2 is a favorite to a lot of coaster enthusiasts, but for us, it was actually pretty brutal. Seriously, this Aero first of a kind 4D coaster slammed our legs against a train so hard that it left a pretty solid bruise. But it makes our top 100 because you gotta admit it, it's actually pretty unique. We love it when parks actually build their own coasters, and Seabreeze in Rochester, New York created a unique and fun coaster with bobsleds. Coming in at number 94, sometimes coasters just need to be fun, and that's the case with this one. We marathoned this coaster a few years ago, and its memories keep putting a smile on our faces. Now if you follow the channel, you know we're not huge Disney fans, but our 93rd and only roller coaster at Disney is one we have to tip our hats to. Big Mountain Railroad is a huge coaster that really dominates the back of Magic Kingdom. And even though we know this ride is getting retracked in 2025, and the isolation will be disturbed with the brand new Cars ride coming to that area soon, we know this classic will be reborn even better. Talking about rebirth, number 92 was just a blueprint and a dream until Knoebels decided to add another amazing wooden coaster to their park. Twister does not get the love that Phoenix does, but this mammoth coaster flies through the track with so many laterals that you have to jump on it every visit. Our 91st coaster is our favorite mouse, and it's not even close. Maurice Pierce has had Rolly's coaster for decades, and we hope to keep riding it for many more decades to come. This mouse is unique because it doesn't rely on the switchbacks for its thrills. Also, its location on the edge of the pier adds a little bit more to the thrill factor. Time for our 90th coaster, and for this one, we get back to Maurice Pierce again. This time it's for Great White, which gets the honor because it was our 125th coaster for the first year that we did our 125 roller coaster challenge. This ride is 70% of Adventure Pier and is the perfect night ride on a hot July day. Not many coasters get this close to the ocean and is a memory to treasure every ride you get. Breaking into the 80s is Hydra the Revenge at Dorney Park, and this is another coaster we bounced around our top 100 every year. At number 89 this year, we are lucky to get a few rides on this coaster every year, and in 2024, it was running pretty darn good. This has a unique layout, and that opening JoJo roll is something you got to experience at least once. Kings Island is one of our favorite amusement parks, but we weren't able to make it out there this year, which is truly a crime for any coaster nerd. But coming in at number 88 is our fantastic suspended coaster, The Bat. Isolated in the front corner of the park, this ride is easy to miss, but that would be a huge mistake. Its isolation, along with the fun swinging trains, keeps this coaster in our top 100 every year. Le Ronde doesn't have much to offer most coaster enthusiasts, except for some sore necks, but their mini hyper Goliath comes in at number 87 this year. Now, we have only been to this park once, but we know that we love this ride, which is what keeps it around in our top 100 after all these years. For number 86, we head back to our home park, Hershey Park, to get the honor of one of the best taglines any roller coaster has ever had: 97 degrees and falling fast. Yep, we're talking about Fahrenheit, and at one point this coaster was top 50, but in 2023, it was simply brutal. Now we're talking about a B&M rattle on this intimate coaster, but the amazing maintenance staff at Hershey Park did something for the 2024 season because our two rides on it this year were much better. Not perfect, but a lot less shaky, which is why this coaster, even though it dropped, is still a solid top 100. Our 85th coaster was actually Kylie's favorite roller coaster at Busch Gardens Williamsburg this year, and it is our top dark roller coaster on the list. Dark Coaster is pretty unique with its setting and theming, but it all works out perfectly. Using the old castle setting from their classic dark ride, the theming plays off that ride with a lot of twists and turns for both families and thrill seekers alike. Okay, this next one is going to bring the hate, but we simply don't care. We enjoy Rougarou at Cedar Point. Now, starting out as Mantis, this classic stand-up coaster was the first to get the floorless train treatment, and we loved everything about this coaster except its location. At dusk, when the mayflies come out in the summer, you better be wearing a visor or you're going to be wiping them off your face every ride. Is it worth it? Well, you're going to have to be the judge, but for us, it's our 84th coaster. Heading for the first time to Dollywood in the rankings and coming in at number 83 is our classic aero looping coaster, Tennessee Tornado. Now, this ride is one of the smoothest aero loopers that we have ever been on and really shows you what an aero coaster was able to do before they closed their doors. We never miss a chance to ride this coaster every time we visit Dollywood. Knoebels is known for their wooden coasters, but coming in at number 82 is their one steel coaster, Impulse. This is the first ride you see when you enter Knoebels, but don't let its smaller size fool you. This coaster was quick and snappy, and with every vertical drop, it gives you quite a ride. Now, while stand-up coasters get a bad rap, and yes, we agree with the complaints, but this year when we visited Six Flags Magic Mountain, Their stand-up coaster, Riddler's Revenge, was by far the best stand-up we have ever ridden. This stand-up coaster is huge and brings the speed and the twist that you have come to love from B&M. This ride might have been top 50 if it wasn't for the fact that, well, it's a stand-up coaster. So because of that, it settles in at number 81. Our 80th coaster is another one we just couldn't fit into our schedule for 2024, but the amount of hang time that Copperhead Strike creates is second to none. Yes, being at Carowinds, it's very easy for this coaster to get lost, especially with all the Fury 325 hype. But this launch coaster was the first one to show us that launches don't have to be all about the speed. You can use them perfectly to add changes of paces, which makes this ride stand out. As a coaster enthusiast, I know I get asked a lot about why you ride coasters and why you like some in the past but don't like them now, and vice versa. And our 79th coaster is the reason why. In 2022, we rode Grizzly at King's Dominion, and it was simply brutal. Actually, it made our worst coaster list that year, but Cedar Fair decided to step in and do something about it. They retracked this coaster throughout the 2023 season. So when we stepped onto this coaster in 2024, it was night and day, and it is now one of our favorite wooden coasters and comes in at number 79. This ride shows you what you can do if you're willing to invest money and time into a coaster instead of just tearing them down. We highly recommend adding Grizzly to your trip next year when you visit King's Dominion. Moto Coaster at Six Flags Darien Lake comes in at number 78, and even though it could be considered a family coaster, it is a highlight attraction at this park. Sometimes you just want to have some fun, and this simple coaster is all about that. We love this ride so much that we made it our 250th coaster credit. When a coaster is the first of its kind ever to be built, it kind of holds a special place in our heart, and that's the case with Apollo's Chariot at Busch Gardens Williamsburg. Holding on to the 77th spot in 2024, this original B&M Hyper coaster is still smooth and gives some great floater airtime every time. Oh, and in case I forgot to tell you, this is the coaster that had a bird hit Fabio in the face. Now, when we started the 125 Roller Coaster Challenge, our 76th coaster was themed to Superman's evil villain, Bizarro. But now this floorless coaster at Six Flags Great Adventure is back to its original name, Medusa. Another original B&M concept, this was the first ever floorless coaster built, and while it's the same layout as Scream over at Magic Mountain, the fact that it's over the safari instead of a parking lot puts this one ahead. Okay, 25 roller coasters are now in the books, so let's kick off the next 25 at our home Cedar Fair park, Dorney Park. After years of not getting anything new on the coaster front, this year Cedar Fair gave them a whole new themed section called Steelworks, with the highlight attraction being Iron Menace. This mini dive coaster was a fantastic addition to Dorney Park and packs a beyond vertical drop, an Intelman, and my favorite element, a slanted loop. What a great addition for Dorney Park, and we hope that this is the start of something great. Now heading back to Six Flags Darien Lake for our 74th coaster, and this one is another one that does not get much love from the coaster enthusiasts, but we love what this park has done with Predator the last few years. Okay, so the last few years, Darien Lake has been adding new GCI Titan track to different sections of this ride, and as it keeps getting smoother, it keeps on moving up our rankings. This year we headed out to the West Coast, and our 73rd coaster is from Knott's Berry Farm. While we have a few ranked coasters coming from this park, this first one makes our list because it was the first ever hydraulic launch coaster, Accelerator. While the launch is fantastic and intense, the rest of the ride kind of lacks thrills, and can we say it's short? Okay, it's short. Now heading back to our home park, Hershey Park, our 72nd coaster has been a part of our life for over 40 years, and that of course has to be the Comet. Yes, it's not much of an airtime machine, but for us, it's a fun little ride, and it is closing in on being around for almost 100 years. Sometimes you just want a nice relaxing ride, and that's what the Comet is always in our top 100. Now we mentioned parking lot coasters earlier, and that is the case with Dominator at King's Dominion. It literally was dropped into the parking lot from Geauga Lake when that park closed down, and this is a huge Florida's coaster and one of the best rides at Kings Dominion. Now coming in at number 71, this ride features all the greatest hits that Florida's coasters have, but just on a much bigger scale. We are now coming into our 70th coaster, and this is another one that we rode one day a few years ago, but the memories are still very strong. Blue Hawk at Six Flags Over Georgia was pretty brutal in the past, but the year that we got there, this classic Vekoma Looper was just retracked. It was smooth, it was so unique, and the setting over the water, this ride always makes our top 100. Our 69th coaster was another one that we weren't really fans of. There's a sign at Knoebels right in front of this ride that says, "They said we couldn't build it." But I always thought it should read, "We shouldn't build it." But that all changed this season. Flying Turns is the world's only wooden toboggan coaster, and it always had a long line, so I would kind of avoid it like the plague. But this year we went to Knoebels on off days, and I finally got to enjoy this ride for what it is, simply fun. Knoebels, I admit it when I'm wrong, and that's why this coaster finally broke into our top 100. Outlaw Run at Silver Dollar City comes in at number 68, and it has been dropping steady every year since we first rode it 6 years ago. It is a great topper track coaster from RMC, but as the memory fades, so does the rankings. We got to get back to Silver Dollar City soon and see where this now ranks. Now, we love wing coasters, and our 67th coaster is usually most people's least favorite one. But for us, Wild Eagle at Dollywood soars above the rest. Yes, it doesn't have the near miss elements or my favorite over the wing drop, but this ride gives you an amazing experience as you fly through the Tennessee hills. All right, our 66th coaster is American Thunder at Six Flags St. Louis, and this GCI wooden coaster was not on our radar, which made our 5 rides on it even more special. Underrated is an understatement when it comes to this ride, and we can't wait to ride it again soon. Our 65th coaster is a classic who has gotten some retracking love the past few years, but we haven't ridden it since it was retracked, so we have to go with what we rode before, and that is the Beast at Kings Island, which is just outside our top 50. Still the longest roller coaster in the world, it was fairly rough when we were last at Kings Island, but we're looking forward to riding it again in 2025, and if the retracking is as good as people have been saying, we know it's going to jump back in the rankings soon. Another new coaster for us is number 64, and it's West Coast Racers at Six Flags Magic Mountain. Now this Morbius track coaster makes sure you get a ride every time, which makes this ride so much fun. All the interactions with the other trains makes this coaster stand out in a sea of amazing coasters at that park. Now we discussed rough coasters throughout the list, and Kraken at SeaWorld Orlando fits that bill. However, it comes in at number 63 on our list because the layout of this B&M Florida's coaster is so iconic, and that makes up for the rattle and the head snapping. Staying in Florida, we head back to Busch Gardens, Tampa for a 62nd coaster, Cheetah Hunt, and this Intamin Blitz coaster has the perfect name. This truly feels like you are a cheetah flying through the Serengeti going after your prey. So much speed, so many twists, it's just a great ride every time. Now we mentioned Comet earlier at Hershey Park. Well, 61st Comet is in the Adirondacks at Six Flags Great Escape. Now this is the main attraction to this park, and it's worth the drive. This is a hybrid coaster with a steel frame and a wooden track. However, it feels like any other great woody, which it is. So we're almost done with this video, so if you like or don't like our list so far, let us know. Leave a comment, and don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell so you don't miss part 2. Now we're at number 60, and again we are heading home to Storm Runner. This is an amazing launch coaster at Hershey Park, and it's one of the most intense launches we have ever felt. This would score so much higher in our rankings if it wasn't for this being such a short ride. Now if you get a chance, make sure you ride Batwing at Six Flags America, because it truly is, at the time of this video, the last Vekoma Flying Dutchman coaster standing. And to be honest with you, we don't know how much longer that will be. We were lucky to get 2 rides on it this year, and that's why it moved back up our ranking to number 59. Now the fingers are crossed that it opens up again in 2025 so we can get a few more amazing rides. Busch Gardens Williamsburg is the home of our 58th coaster, which is our highest ranked dive coaster, Griffin. Now this ride is over 200 feet tall and has everything you love when it comes to this style of coaster. And the splashdown at the end always makes us smile. While most inverted coasters are all about intensity, our home invert, Great Bear, flies through Comet Hollow with such grace and a lot of fun. Coming in at number 57, we always love this coaster and probably always will. Now, Steel Force has been our least favorite hyper coaster for years. Yep, and it wasn't even close. But in 2024, Dorney Park made some adjustments to the coaster programming, and wow, did it ever make a difference. This ride now provides some of the best airtime that we've had in a long time. And Steel Force stands at number 56 in our rankings. Now we're going to head out to Universal Islands of Adventure for our 55th coaster, which is another iconic ride. Incredible Hulk has been a staple of this park since the beginning, but with the overhaul the year before we visited, boy, did we ever reap the benefits. This B&M looping coaster is huge, and it is a great first coaster to get on when you first visit this park. Our California trip this year keeps on giving, and for our 54th coaster, this inverted coaster was another ride that was completely under the radar. Nobody talks about Silver Bullet at Knott's Berry Farm, and that's a shame because this coaster really took us for a ride. Or two, or three, or four. Yeah, they really had some great operations. Yes, it isn't silver, but it is fun. Now, from the West Coast to the shores of Lake Erie, our 53rd coaster can be found at Waldameer Park. And this wooden coaster is considered one of the best ever built, and they are not wrong. Flying over roads and woods in Erie, Pennsylvania, this Gravity Group coaster keeps you out of your seats the entire ride long. Alright, we have two more coasters to go in this video. And number 52 is the only launched wing coaster in the United States until this summer, and that is Thunderbird at Holiday World. There is something special about launching out of a barn, flying around that beautiful park, and then the two near-miss elements at the end. It is truly a great experience. Alright, our last coaster for this video, coming in at number 51, is a coaster we never thought would ever reach this high. Vekoma SLCs, which stand for suspended looping coasters, are considered one of the worst rides ever built, and we can confirm that. But when it comes to Fly the Great Nor'easter at Morey's Pier, this park has perfected this style of ride. They have replaced the trains, the restraints, most of the track, and even gave it a brand new paint job. And this ride isn't just the best SLC around, it's one of the best coasters we've been on. Seriously, I actually jumped back in line numerous times this summer just to make sure I was riding an SLC. So there you go, our 100 to 51st roller coasters in 2024. Now make sure you subscribe to the channel and ring the bell so you make sure you're notified when we drop our number 50 to number 1. Thanks for watching, and we can't wait to see you in the queue